I discovered a personal item of hers inside his car. She swore she'd never even met him. Last night, she came home wearing his hoodie, so I followed her. What I saw in that parking lot changed everything. And then, she smiled at me like I was the crazy one. But that's not even the worst part. You won't believe what she did next. I don't know how to start this without sounding like a paranoid idiot, but here it goes. My name's Mike. I'm 34, been married to Emily for 5 years, together for 8. We met at a mutual friend's party and hit it off immediately. She's sharp, sarcastic, gorgeous in this understated way. We always clicked, until recently. For the most part, we were that couple people rolled their eyes at. Inside jokes, shared Spotify playlists, matching opinions on pineapple on pizza. The works. But over the past 2 months, things shifted. It started subtle. The usual kiss on the cheek when she got home from work became a distracted hey. Her phone, which used to live face up on the counter, was suddenly glued to her hand like a third limb. And she started working late. A lot. I didn't jump to conclusions at first. She's in marketing, and her team had just picked up a big client, so the extra hours made sense. That's what I told myself, anyway. Still, it gnawed at me. One night, I cracked a joke, just a dumb offhand remark like, "Do I need to start scheduling appointments to see you?" expecting her to laugh. She didn't. She just said, "Don't be dramatic," and went into the bathroom with her phone. That's when the weird dreams started. I'd wake up sweating, heart pounding, convinced something was wrong. Not just with Emily, wrong in the air, in our house, in the way she'd started sleeping with her back to me every night. Like there was a wall I hadn't noticed before. Then there was the bar thing. One Saturday, I went to meet a few old coworkers for drinks. Emily said she was home with a migraine. When I came back, the house was dark, quiet. I peeked into the bedroom and saw her curled up, blanket over her head. I didn't wake her. The next morning, she said she'd barely slept, headache was brutal, didn't even eat dinner. Thing is, I found a paper receipt in the trash the next day. Bar tab. 2 cocktails. Timestamp. 9:48 p.m. Same time I was ordering my second round across town. And not a bar either of us usually go to. I stood there in the kitchen staring at that little scrap of paper, not sure if I should feel furious or insane. I told myself she must have gone out to get some air, maybe tried to see if the alcohol would help her headache. I didn't ask. I didn't want to sound like a jealous freak. I threw the receipt out and told myself to forget it. But I didn't. So, I did something dumb. I convinced myself everything was fine. Until I ran into Jake. Jake's not a friend. More like an orbit guy. We've hung out at the same parties. He's friends with Emily's old coworker. Tall, too many tattoos, gym rat type. Always talks like he's got some secret you're not cool enough to know. The kind of guy I nod to but never really talk with. We bumped into each other at the gas station, of all places. "Mike, long time, man," he says, all grins. "How's Em?" Something about the way he said her name twisted in my gut. Too casual. Like him rolled off his tongue a little too naturally. "She's good," I said. "Busy. Working a lot." Jake grinned wider. Yeah, I bet she is." Then he winked. Before I could respond, he got into his Jeep and drove off like he hadn't just dropped a live grenade into my brain. I stood there like a statue, hands still on the pump, thinking, what the hell was that? Was I reading too much into it? Did he mean something by it? Or was he just messing with me? That night, I mentioned Jake casually to Emily. "Saw that guy Jake at the gas station today. You remember him, right?" She froze for maybe half a second, then smiled. "Oh, yeah, he's obnoxious. Always talks too much." That was it. No, how is he? Or what's he been up to? Just a deflection and then back to her phone. And of course, I started spiraling. A few nights later, I was half asleep on the couch. Emily had gone to bed early, exhausted, and her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Normally, I'd never even look. But this time, I did. Just the preview. One line from a message. "Jake, can't stop thinking about last Tuesday." I didn't touch the phone. Didn't unlock it. Didn't take a picture. I just stood there, numb, until the screen dimmed again. My heart was pounding, but my brain refused to accept it. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe he was talking about something else. Maybe I didn't see what I thought I saw. Maybe I'm losing my mind. I went to bed that night and laid next to her like nothing had happened. She was already asleep, or pretending to be, and that message from Jake played on loop in my head until the sun came up. The next morning, I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I was stuck somewhere between needing answers and being terrified to hear them. Instead, I tested the waters. "Hey," I said while we were both brushing our teeth. "You ever talk to Jake these days?" She paused, barely, just long enough to be noticeable. "Him?" she said, mouth full of toothpaste. "No, not really." "Why?" "No reason," I shrugged. "He mentioned you when I saw him. Said to say hi." Emily rolled her eyes. "Ugh, of course he did. That guy's such a creep." That was the moment I knew. She lied. Flat out. No one lies that fast and that easily unless they've practiced. And yet, I still didn't confront her. Instead, I behaved like every other guy who suspects his wife might be keeping secrets. I became a human microscope, watching every move, every glance at her phone, every new article of clothing, every sudden burst of laughter when she was texting. She stopped leaving her phone anywhere unattended. She had it in the bathroom, in the laundry room, even when we watched TV together. She started dressing nicer to work. Heels, makeup, that perfume she used to only wear for date nights. And the worst part? She didn't even seem interested in hiding it. Then one night, we were getting ready for bed, and I noticed a faint bruise on her collarbone. My stomach flipped. "What happened there?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Emily glanced down. "Huh? Oh, I must have bumped into a door or something. I didn't even notice." A door. Right. The oldest excuse in the book. I stared at her, trying to find even a flicker of guilt in her face. Nothing. She was a pro. And the next day, I finally broke. I left work early and drove to her office. I just needed to see. I parked across the street and waited. At 5:03 p.m., she walked out. Alone. For a moment, I felt ridiculous. Then, 2 minutes later, Jake walked out the same door. Not with her, but close enough behind to make my heart skip a beat. They didn't say anything. Didn't even look at each other. But they both walked to the same parking lot. Parked on opposite ends. Coincidence? Maybe. But when she got home later that evening, she had a fresh blowout and was carrying takeout for two. "Work was brutal," she said, kicking off her heels. "I figured we'd eat in. I missed you today." She even kissed me. On the mouth. But all I could taste was doubt. It all came to a head the night of the dinner party. Emily and I got invited to a small gathering at Melissa and Dan's place. Mutual friends of ours. 6 couples total, a cozy thing, just drinks, dinner, and catching up. I almost bailed. I wasn't in the mood to play happy couple with her. But something told me to go. Maybe part of me wanted to test her. Or maybe I just needed to be around people for once, to break out of the weird, anxious fog I'd been living in. She spent over an hour getting ready. I sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling mindlessly on my phone while she moved between the mirror and the closet like she was prepping for a red carpet. Makeup, earrings, curled hair, the whole 9 yards. At one point she asked me which shoes looked better, black heels or tan pumps. I barely looked up. "Doesn't matter," I muttered. She chose the black ones. When she finally stepped into the living room fully dressed, I had to admit, she looked amazing. But it didn't feel like she was dressing up for me. It felt like she was dressing up to prove something. "Too much?" she asked with a playful smile, like she was fishing for a compliment. "You look different," I said. It wasn't meant as praise. It wasn't meant as anything, really. Just honest. At the party, she was all over me, laughing at my stupid jokes, rubbing my shoulder, even brushing my hair back, once like we were teenagers. It was so unnatural, so forced, that even Melissa noticed. She pulled me aside at one point in the kitchen and said, "Wow, Em's really laying it on thick tonight." I laughed it off, but inside, my stomach was churning. We were barely 2 glasses of wine into the night when Jake showed up. I froze. He walked in like he owned the place, carrying a bottle of whiskey and wearing that smug look he always had. I didn't even know he was friends with Dan and Melissa. I still don't know how he ended up there. Coincidence? Probably not. Emily stiffened the moment she saw him. Not visibly. Not enough for the room to notice. But I noticed. I've lived with her for 5 years. I knew her tells. They didn't hug. Didn't shake hands. Just exchanged a quick hey. And the way his eyes locked onto hers. Like he was testing her. Or taunting me. Or both. I spent the next hour trying to keep it together. I laughed when I needed to. I asked Melissa about work. I complimented the roast. But every time Jake laughed from across the room, I felt it in my spine. At one point, I stepped outside for air. I didn't even bring my jacket. Just walked out onto the patio and stared at the quiet street, trying to slow my heart down. And then he followed me. He lit a cigarette, not because he smokes, but because he wanted to do something with his hands. He stood there beside me for a minute, not saying anything. Then he blew out a long stream of smoke and said, "You know, Emily's lucky. You're a good guy." I didn't even look at him. What's that supposed to mean? Jake grinned. Nothing. Just saying. Then he flicked the ash off his cigarette and walked back inside like we'd just shared a bonding moment. I stood there another minute, trying not to punch a hole in the wall. Then I followed him in, plastered a smile on my face, and wrapped my arm around Emily's waist. "Want to head out early?" she asked. "You tired?" She nodded. "Headache." Of course she had a headache. In the car, she looked out the window the whole ride home. The silence between us was thick. At one point, she reached over and put her hand on my leg. I didn't move. "You've been quiet tonight," she said. "Just tired," I lied. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom. I heard the door shut and the bed creak as she laid down. I stayed in the living room, sat on the couch, stared at nothing. She wasn't true to me. I didn't need a confession. I didn't need a photo. I'd seen everything I needed in the glance she gave Jake and the way he smirked at me like I was the last one in the room to figure it out. But I still wasn't ready to say it out loud. Not yet. A few days after the dinner party, something changed in Emily. It was small at first. Extra kisses in the morning, spontaneous texts during the day, asking if I needed anything from the store. She even brought home my favorite beer, unprompted. The kind I hadn't bought in months. It felt fake. Like she was trying to undo something. Like maybe she knew I'd seen too much. I didn't respond the way she expected. I wasn't cold. I wasn't warm either. I was still. Watching. That Friday night, we were sitting on the couch watching some mindless Netflix series, and she turned to me out of nowhere. "I feel like we haven't really talked in a while," she said. I muted the TV. "Okay, talk." She fidgeted. "I don't know. Things just feel off lately." My heart jumped. Was this it? Was she finally going to say it? I kept my face neutral. "You think?" She nodded, eyes down. "I feel like we've been drifting. I don't want that. I want us to be close again." "You mean like before you started hiding your phone every second of the day?" Boom. It just came out. She blinked. "What?" I leaned forward. "You heard me." There was a pause. A long one. Then she laughed. Not loud, just this dry, breathy sound. "Are you seriously checking up on my phone now?" "I didn't check anything," I said. "But I see how you flinch every time I walk in the room. I'm not blind." She narrowed her eyes. "So now I'm not allowed to have boundaries?" "Boundaries are one thing. Acting like I'm the FBI is another." She folded her arms. "Where is this even coming from?" "You tell me," I said. "You come home late. You smell like someone else's cologne. You dodge every question. And then there's Jake." Her face turned stone cold. "What about Jake?" "You tell me." "Because I swear to God, if I find out something's going on." "Nothing's going on," she snapped. "Jake's just a guy. He flirts with everyone. It's annoying. I don't even talk to him." "You don't talk to him?" I said, voice rising. "Funny, because I saw a message pop up from him on your phone. Something about last Tuesday." She went pale. Then, like flipping a switch, she snapped back. "Wow. So now you're reading my messages?" "I read the preview. That's it. But you're dodging the point." She stood up. "No, the point is you don't trust me. And you're building this narrative in your head because you're bored or insecure or whatever the hell this is." "Am I wrong?" I asked. She hesitated. For the briefest moment, her mouth opened, like she was about to say something real. But then she shook her head. "Go to hell." She stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door. I didn't follow. I just sat there, heart racing, fists clenched, staring at the dark screen of the TV. She didn't deny it. She didn't explain it either. But for 1 second, she almost confessed. And now I couldn't stop wondering what would have happened if I'd pushed just a little harder. After our argument, the house turned into a war zone without the shouting. No yelling. No doors slamming. Just silence. Heavy, choking silence. Emily didn't talk to me on Friday. Or Saturday. She walked past me like I was air. Ate meals alone in the kitchen. Watched TV in the bedroom with the door closed. But she didn't leave. She stayed. Like she was waiting for me to apologize. But I wasn't going to. Not this time. I noticed she'd stopped wearing her wedding ring again. She used to take it off when she was doing dishes or working out. But now it was just off. Permanently. I almost asked her about it once when we passed each other in the hallway, but the look on her face shut me down. She didn't want a conversation. She wanted control. So I gave her space. I didn't even bother to sleep in the bedroom. I stayed on the couch, where I could think. Then Sunday morning hit, and she flipped the script. I was standing in the kitchen, halfway through making a pot of coffee, when she walked in behind me. No makeup, oversized sweatshirt, hair still knotted from sleep. "Hey," she said, rubbing her eyes. "Want to go for a drive?" I turned around slowly. "A drive?" She nodded, avoiding eye contact. "Nowhere special. Just out. Clear our heads." It felt like bait, but I bit. "Yeah," I said. "Okay." We didn't talk much at first. She picked a direction at random, and we drove with no destination. Somewhere along the coast. Windows down. She plugged in her phone and put on one of our old playlists. Songs we hadn't listened to in years. At first, it felt like someone else's life. Then, slowly, I let myself remember things. Late-night drives after movies, sharing earbuds on bus rides, slow dancing in the kitchen after a bottle of wine. And then she started talking again. About nothing, really. Some dumb ad she saw. How one of her coworkers keeps stealing someone's lunch at work. Her theory that the neighbor 2 doors down is hiding something in his shed. I didn't say much. I just listened and nodded. Then, as we passed a seafood shack we used to love, she pointed. "You hungry?" I shrugged. "Sure." We stopped. Sat outside under a faded red umbrella. Shared a basket of fried shrimp. She laughed at something I said. I don't even remember what. And for the first time in a while, she looked like the Emily I used to know. For a second, I almost believed it. Almost believed things could go back to normal. Then she got up to use the bathroom and left her phone on the table. I didn't mean to look. I didn't even touch it. But it buzzed. "Jake, I miss you." Even now. My pulse went nuclear. My vision tunneled. She had broken my trust. There was no maybe anymore. No more gut feelings. No more what-ifs. I didn't open the message. I didn't need to. That single preview said it all. She came back 2 minutes later, sat down, picked up her phone like it was just another day. She didn't even glance at me. Just kept talking about some podcast she'd been binging lately, something about murder in the mountains, or whatever. I nodded, but my ears were ringing. The drive home was quiet. Not awkward silence quiet. More like, something is rotting in the trunk quiet. She didn't speak. I didn't ask questions. I watched the road. She watched the sky. When we got back, she went straight to the bedroom and shut the door behind her. No, thanks for the drive. No, good night. Nothing. I waited for the light to go out under the door. When it finally did, I went to the couch, sat down, and stared at the black screen of the TV for hours. Sleep didn't come. Because now I knew. Without a doubt. She was lying. She was unfaithful to me. And she was doing it with a guy I barely knew. A guy who, for whatever reason, had decided to become a permanent shadow in our lives. But I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to snoop or scream or hack into her phone. No, I was going to wait. Because sooner or later, she'd make a mistake. And when she did, I'd be ready. The next week was like watching someone try to tape up a dam that's already cracked down the middle. Emily didn't know I saw Jake's message. As far as she was concerned, I was still in the dark, still nursing my feelings from the argument, still unsure of what was real and what wasn't. She must have thought our little Sunday drive patched things up, that it gave her a clean slate. Suddenly, she was affectionate again. Too affectionate. She started packing my lunches again, little notes folded in the napkins. Things like, "Hope your day's better than yesterday," and "Love you always." She hadn't done that since our second year of marriage. I'd forgotten she even used to. And then, like clockwork, came the texting. Random memes during work, reels from Instagram, asking if I wanted to do a movie night or go for walks after dinner. If I were a stranger watching us from the outside, I'd think we were fine. Normal. Happy. But I wasn't a stranger. And I wasn't fine. I responded just enough to keep her guessing. Kissed her back when she leaned in. Smiled when she asked if I wanted popcorn. Even touched her shoulder when I passed her on the way to the laundry room. But I didn't trust a second of it. Then came Tuesday. She walked into the living room that afternoon, dressed up a little more than usual. Tight jeans, boots, makeup, not too heavy, but enough to look intentional. She sprayed her perfume on her wrists and neck. The one she used to only wear on our anniversaries. I already knew what was coming. "Drinks with Kayla tonight," she said casually, grabbing her purse. "I'll be home late, don't wait up." I nodded. "Have fun." She smiled. It wasn't fake. That's the worst part. She really thought I believed her. She left around 7:15 p.m. I waited 45 minutes. Then I pulled out my phone and messaged Kayla. We weren't close, barely acquaintances, but we talked at a few get-togethers and exchanged polite small talk. I figured it was worth a shot. Me. Hey, sorry to bug you. Just wanted to check. Emily said she's out with you tonight. Just making sure everything's okay? 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Kayla. Wait, what? I haven't seen Em in forever. She's not here. Why? That was all I needed. I stared at the screen. Read it 3 times. No panic this time. No stomach drop. Just silence. Like the final piece of a puzzle clicking into place. She had lied. And not just casually. Not to cover something small. She had planned it. Got dressed. Walked out the door. Looked me in the eyes and lied. When she got home at 11:12 p.m, I was sitting on the couch in the dark. She came in humming. Kicked off her boots in the hallway. Her hair was slightly messier than when she left. Her lipstick faintly smudged. Hey, she said cheerfully, walking into the kitchen. You're still up? Couldn't sleep, I said. How was Kayla? She paused for only a second. Fun. Good to catch up. We stayed out longer than I thought. She didn't say where they went. She didn't mention who else was there. She filled a glass with water, took a sip, and leaned against the counter, watching me. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, I lied. You? Yeah. There was a long silence. Then she walked past me and went to the bedroom. I heard the door close. No lock. No sound of her brushing her teeth. Just the bed creaking as she laid down. The next morning, she made pancakes. She doesn't even like pancakes. She was practically bouncing around the kitchen, smiling like she was trying to erase something. You want orange juice? She asked. Sure. She poured it like nothing had happened. Like I wasn't still thinking about Kayla's text. Like she hadn't crawled into someone else's bed hours before and now wanted to butter my pancakes. I played along. I kissed her goodbye. And as I stepped out the front door, I knew. She could throw all the smiles and syrup she wanted at me, but the mask had slipped. And now I was just waiting for her to fall. By the time Thursday rolled around, I had stopped pretending this was a marriage. Sure, we still lived under the same roof. Still shared the same bed. Still played out the rhythms of domestic life. Coffee in the morning, talking about our days, brushing our teeth side by side. But there was nothing real left. It was all muscle memory now. I'd caught her in a lie. A clean one. Verifiable. Provable. And she had no idea. That kind of power makes you feel like a ghost with a gun. Emily kept smiling. Kept kissing me goodbye in the mornings, asking me if I wanted anything from the store, sending flirty texts during work hours. Things like, can't wait to see you tonight, smiling face with smiling eyes. We should do something spontaneous this weekend, red heart. It would have been cute if it wasn't so fake. I responded when necessary. A thumbs up here, a sure there. Enough to keep her feeling like she was pulling it off. Enough to let her think I hadn't put the whole thing together. But I had. All of it. That Thursday night, I was washing dishes while she scrolled through her phone on the couch. I could see her reflection perfectly in the kitchen window. The lights inside made it act like a mirror. She didn't know I could see everything. She wasn't scrolling Instagram like she wanted me to believe. She was typing. Rapid, focused. Then she'd pause. Erase. Type again. The kind of deliberate texting that screams, don't get caught. I took my time with the dishes. Dried my hands. Walked over to the fridge for no reason. Who are you texting? I asked casually. She looked up a little too fast. Kayla, she said, like she'd rehearsed it. Oh yeah. I nodded. Tell her I said hi. She hesitated, then gave me this forced half smile. Sure. There it was. Confirmed again. She was using the same name she'd used Tuesday. The one I'd already verified wasn't with her that night. She was testing me, trying to see if I knew, trying to see if she could still steer the ship. And I let her think she could. That night, I didn't sit on the couch. I went outside. I took my beer and sat on the back patio, staring out into the dark yard. Our porch light flickered every few minutes, something I never bothered to fix. It fit the mood. I thought about confrontation, about screaming, about throwing my wedding ring at her feet and demanding she admit it. But then I realized, what's the point? She'd just lie again. Even caught red-handed, she'd find a new excuse. She'd twist it, deny it, flip it back on me. So I changed the plan. No more trying to catch her. No more detective work. No more giving her chances to come clean. Let her lie. Let her sink herself. Friday after work, she acted like everything was back to normal. Movie night, she offered. Yeah, sure, I said. She lit up, popped popcorn, brought out a blanket like it was date night again, chose some mystery thriller she'd already watched twice. I didn't say a word. I let her wrap the blanket around us, let her lean her head on my shoulder. Halfway through, she reached for my hand. I let her take it, not because I forgave her, not because I believed her, but because I wanted her to think I was coming back to her, that I was still in the fog, that I hadn't seen the message from Jake, that I didn't already know Kayla hadn't seen her in months. She kept glancing at me during the movie, like she was waiting for something. Maybe a confession from me, maybe a fight, maybe for me to finally say, I know. But I didn't. When the movie ended, we sat there for a minute. Then she stretched and said, I'm gonna head to bed. All right, I said. I'll be in soon. She left. I waited 15 minutes before following. When I walked into the room, she was already under the covers, facing away. Her phone lit up once as I entered. Then again, she shifted slightly. Silent. I laid down and stared at the ceiling. A minute later, I felt her body twist gently. Then the soft sound of her phone being picked up. Unlocked. I didn't move. She read a message. Typed something. Paused. Deleted it. Put the phone down. She still thought she was winning. And I was starting to enjoy letting her think that. By Saturday morning, we were two actors in a sold-out show, both pretending not to know the other was lying. Emily woke up before me. I heard music playing faintly from the kitchen, something upbeat and nostalgic, probably meant to evoke the good old days. When I came in, she already had flour on her hands and a mixing bowl spinning under a whisk. Waffles today, she said, smiling like this was just a normal Saturday. I nodded. Smells good. She even poured coffee into my favorite mug, the blue one with the chip in the handle. I hadn't used it in months, but suddenly it was there, steaming and full, like a peace offering. I was thinking, she started as we sat down to eat. Maybe we should go to the farmer's market later. You know, like we used to? I played my part perfectly, smiled, sipped my coffee, said, yeah, why not? She beamed, as if each polite response from me was another inch away from danger. At the market, we did the full show, walking hand in hand, sampling jams, holding up avocados like we were inspecting diamonds. She took selfies of us under the iron arch at the entrance, then posted one to her Instagram within seconds. Lazy Saturday with my favorite person, red heart. I watched the notification light up on my phone. Heartwarming. Almost cinematic. If I were anyone else, I might have believed it. But every time she looked at me with those bright, deliberate eyes, I knew exactly what she was doing. Keeping me busy. Occupied. Distracted. She thought I was close to catching on. She had no idea I already had. That night, as we ate takeout Thai in front of the TV, she brought it up. The future. The getaway. You know what we need? She said between bites. A vacation. Like, really go somewhere. Unplug. Just the two of us. No phones. No stress. I nodded. Yeah, that sounds good. Really? Yeah, I said again. Let's figure something out tomorrow. She looked relieved. Genuinely. Like maybe she believed the smoke screen was working. That maybe, just maybe, I was still blind. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. I love you, you know. I turned to her. Looked her dead in the eyes. I know. I didn't say it back. She noticed. She didn't say anything, but her smile slipped for a fraction of a second. Later, while she showered, I packed a small duffel bag in silence. Change of clothes. Phone charger. Backup debit card. Documents. Threw it in the trunk of my car and covered it with a blanket. No drama. Just preparation. Sunday morning, I made my move. Told her I was meeting an old friend from college. Just breakfast, I said, keys in hand. He's passing through town. She didn't blink. Tell him I said hi. I drove 20 minutes to a cafe, grabbed a coffee to go, then parked 2 blocks away from Jake's apartment. The one I found through an old party flyer still buried in Emily's junk drawer. She hadn't even thrown it out. I sat in my car, engine off, waiting. At 10:36 a.m., I saw her car. White SUV. Parked across the street. She stepped out, wearing sunglasses and a denim jacket, phone in hand. She looked around once, casual, not paranoid, then walked straight to his building. No disguise. No hesitation. No looking back. She'd done this before. Too many times, probably. I didn't follow. I didn't take photos. I didn't need to. She walked through the door and disappeared inside. I waited 10 minutes, just to see if she'd come back out. She didn't. I turned the ignition and drove home. The silence in the house hit different this time. Her shoes were still by the door. Her coffee mug still sat on the counter, half full. There was a note on the fridge, back around noon. Love you, Red Heart. I walked into the living room, sat down on the couch, and stared at the framed photo of us on the shelf. Our honeymoon. The beach. Her hair was wet and she was laughing, looking at me like I was the only person who existed. She used to look at me that way. Now it was just a picture. A prop. Proof of a lie that once looked like love. She came home at 12:07 p.m. Hair tied up, sunglasses still on, takeout bag in hand. Brought you lunch, she said, placing it on the counter. Thought you might be hungry. I looked up from the couch and nodded. Thanks. She walked over, leaned down, kissed the top of my head like she hadn't just been in another man's apartment for 2 hours. I could still smell his cologne on her. We ate in silence. Pad Thai and spring rolls. She talked about how crowded the roads were, how she almost ran into someone pulling out of a parking lot. I just nodded along, letting her dig deeper into her fiction. After lunch, I stood up and grabbed the car keys. I'm heading out for a bit. She looked up from her phone. Where? Not sure. Just need to think. She tilted her head, concerned. Everything okay? I stared at her for a second. Yeah, just tired. I walked out without another word. Drove 3 hours. No destination. Just miles. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt done. Not broken. Not devastated. Just completely, utterly done. That night, I came home, and she was already in bed. Pretending to sleep, maybe. I didn't care. I packed while she slept. Not everything, just the essentials. I didn't slam drawers. Didn't stomp. I folded my shirts neatly, closed my suitcase, took my duffel out of the trunk, and zipped them both into the back seat. Before I left, I stood at the bedroom door and watched her for a moment. Then I said quietly, I know about Jake. She didn't move. I saw you today. Saw your messages. I gave you weeks to come clean. You didn't. Still nothing. I waited 5 seconds. 10. Then I walked out. I checked into a motel that night. Cold sheets. Ugly curtains. But peaceful. The next morning, I turned off my phone. No texts. No calls. No begging. I needed space, and more than that, I needed reality. I stayed gone for a week. Didn't tell anyone. Just existed. Breathed. When I finally came back into town, I went straight to a lawyer's office. Simple divorce. No kids. No shared property that mattered. The hardest part wasn't walking away. It was accepting that she never really wanted to stop. She was only sorry I caught her. Epilogue. It's been 6 months now. We're officially divorced. She tried to spin it, told some mutual friends that we drifted apart, that I wasn't emotionally available. I didn't fight it. Let her say whatever made her feel less guilty. She texted me once. Just one line. I miss you. I never replied. Here's what I learned. Cheaters don't slip up. They reveal themselves, slowly, confidently, stupidly. You just have to stop making excuses and watch. And when the time comes, walk out. Don't wait for the truth. They'll never give it to you.